So thank you again for coming today. It's great to see you. And today I would like to concentrate on the function of the lungs and the respiratory system and some practices to boost the functioning of the respiratory system, and also some yogic breathings to increase our lung capacity, which decreases with age. That's one of the problems that older adults, 50 and more, have, is that we eventually lose some of the recoil response of the lungs to do better exchange between the oxygen and the carbon dioxide. And so these practices will help to increase your capacity for breathing well, which of course is super important for all the health of your cells, because when there is more capacity of exchange of oxygen with the blood, then that goes to all the cells of the body and nurtures it. It nurtures our nervous system, it lowers our blood pressure, it improves our digestion. So it has many, many important effects, the way we breathe and how we breathe, whether we breathe more up here or further down in our lungs. When we are tense, we tend to breathe more in the upper part, in the clavicular part. And that stimulates the sympathetic nervous system, which is a system that is always getting ready to work with some kind of challenge. So it's what in English is called fight, flight, freeze response. We get ready to either run away or get into some kind of battle with whatever it is, or sometimes it overwhelms us and we get like frozen. And lately we have been in 24/7 stimulation of the sympathetic nervous system because of the pandemic, the other problems that we are seeing as a society that have not been solved, of better racial interconnections and living together and supporting each other, appreciating each other, economic problems, ecological problems, you name it. And besides that, we have our own personal problems that sometimes are triggered by that or were from before or from whatever we are expecting in the future. So it's very important that we lower the activity of the sympathetic nervous system, or at least balance it. I mean, we need both of them, the sympathetic and the parasympathetic nervous system. It's like a seesaw. When one is up, the other one is depressed. So let's say the sympathetic is getting ready for fight, flight, or freeze. The parasympathetic, which has to do with digestion, rest, repair, and grow, it's down, it's not functioning so well because the body first tries to take care of whatever risks are there. And then once it can calm that a little bit, then the other functions can be better fulfilled. So, and that is very much done through breath. I mean, partly is done through the perspective of how we look at things, and partly done through breath. And it can somehow also be done through movement. So in this series that we are having together of addressing body, mind, and spirit, we are going to today also have some practices for breathing, for calming down anxiety, for having a better capacity for breathing, and also some movements from Qigong for the health of our lungs and heart. First of all, I would like to share with you a recent study that I was looking at today. And it talks about a study done by the University of California, San Francisco. It's an interview and commentary on the study by an epidemiologist, George Woodford, and an infectious disease specialist, Peter Ching Hong, MD, both of them. And they are talking about mask wearing and the current science of how masks work and what to consider when choosing a mask. And also about how important it is to wear a mask. And we are going to be learning 2 yogic breathings that will allow us to use a mask with greater comfort and more effectivity to prevent getting infected with the coronavirus and infecting others. So some highlights in this report, for example, is the necessity that everyone will need to wear a mask because a lot of the contagious process doesn't have symptoms. Not only some people are asymptomatic, or they can be pre-symptomatic, and it's when they are pre-symptomatic that the viral load peaks in the days before the symptoms begin. And just speaking is enough to expel virus-carrying droplets. So it's not only when somebody is coughing and already sick, but even before they get sick, if they are in the process of getting sick, they are at the peak of contagious at that time. And also just by speaking, saying, hi, hello, how are you? They are already expelling. So it's very important, if we are the ones, to have this mask to prevent that happening, but also if somebody else is doing it, to prevent it to reach us so much. A lot has been said before that the mask is mainly to help others, but it does a lot of prevention too, according to what this study is saying. They are saying you cannot know who is infected. You can't look in the crowd and say that person should wear a mask. There is a lot of asymptomatic infection, so everybody has to wear a mask. And another thing that was very interesting for me reading this is that they were mentioned in a recent study published in Health Affairs, for example, comparing COVID-19 growth rate before and after mask mandates in 15 states. And they found out that mask mandates led to a slowdown in daily COVID-19 growth rate, which became more and more apparent over time how many people use the mask. For example, the first 5 days after the mandate, the daily growth rate slowed by 0.9% points compared to the 5 days prior to the mandate, when the thing was still going up. And then at 3 weeks of wearing masks, the daily growth rate had slowed by 2 percentage points. So it is a very important part of preventing. And then something that I also found very interesting, they are saying that, for example, countries that have cultural norms or government policies favoring mask wearing had lower death rates than countries that didn't do that. And then the last part, which I thought it was very interesting, they were talking about, well, how can we prevent getting infected if we keep practicing social distancing? Should we still need to wear the masks? And they are saying, well, there are the 3 W's, right? Wash your hands, watch your distance, and then wear a mask. And of the 3, they are thinking now that wearing the mask is the most important thing, to the point that they were saying, compared to wearing a mask, cleaning your iPhone or wiping down your groceries are just distractors. There is little evidence that fomites, contaminated surfaces, are a major source of transmission, whereas there is a lot of evidence of transmission through inhaled droplets. And that's what the expert on infectious diseases from UCSF was saying. So all this preamble is about the importance of wearing the masks. We know that it's uncomfortable sometimes to wear the mask because one feels that one cannot breathe so well. And after being inside for such a long time, one goes out and would like to really enjoy the fresh air. And so I would like to teach you 2 practices that come from the yogic tradition that's going to, on the one hand, help you to have more lung capacity to breathe, and on the other hand, feel a bit more comfortable when wearing the mask because you're going to have a little bit more air when you breathe. So the first one, which is to augment our lung capacity and also the strength of our lung muscles, is a practice that's called Pratyloma. And it's done using this mudra, this gesture of the hand, which is one that we use for the alternate breathing or single nostril breathing. And we have the pointer and the middle finger down, and then we work with the thumb and the ring finger in the alternate breathing to close one nostril or the other. But in this one, we are going to close both nostrils, but not totally. Okay, and then you can have your fingers down or if that's not comfortable, like in the other practice, you can just have these two up here. The important thing is to have available your thumb and your ring finger so that you can close the nostrils and then release the pressure. So for Pratyloma, what we are going to do is use these two fingers to close the nostrils. Like you remember maybe when you were children and you were swimming and you had this little thing so that not so much water got in your nose. It's kind of similar, but you're not going to really be closing completely your nose. You're just going to partially close your nostrils so that when you breathe, you can still take some air in, but there is a little bit of resistance. And then you're going to notice how that kind of stimulates your lungs. But before going further with this, let's just do a little coming back to our body and sensing where the breath is happening, because we need a little bit of awareness about that too. So I would like for you to put one hand more or less near your clavicles or a little bit further down, clavicular bones, and the other hand more towards the navel. And just without trying to change anything, do a few simple breaths, noticing where the air is going, where is it moving. Is it going more towards the upper part of the lungs? Is it going more towards the lower part? Or maybe you don't feel anything, but for sure you're breathing. So just sometimes it takes a little bit of being still because it's a subtle feeling. And we are not trying to change anything at this moment, just sensing where is that we're breathing. Okay. So now I want you to put your hands on the side of your ribs, and we are always inhaling and exhaling through the nose. So let's try 2 or 3 breaths of this at your own pace and your own capacity. Inhaling, trying to bring the air here, which it will naturally go there because now you have opened your chest by bringing your hands to the side. Okay, so we inhale. And then we exhale. Inhale to ribs through the nose. Exhale also through the nose. As relaxed as you can. Inhale through the nose to ribs. Exhale through the nose to ribs. Okay. So before doing the practices of these yoga breathings, I would like to just say 2 little things about the importance of breathing through the nose. The nose is the beginning of our respiratory system. The nose is designed for us to take the air in, and then it warms it and it humidifies a little bit whatever is coming in, and it also stops some of the dust and also pathogens, most of the pathogens. And so it's already a filter. We don't have such filter at the mouth, but the nose is what is designed for us to breathe. And in the sinus also, there is a little bit of possibility of generating mucus, which is another way of trapping these bacteria. That doesn't happen if we are with the mouth open. We just are losing that extraordinary mechanism that we have for filtering in the nose. So that's one of the reasons why it's better to breathe through the nose than through the mouth, especially in these pandemic times, and especially when you are in public places. If you are at home and you are doing different practices of breathing, there are practices that are with inhaling through the mouth, but your home is hopefully a safe space where you can do these other kinds of experiments of what happens in your body with the different forms of breathings. So also when we inhale through the nose and we relax the body, and for example, what we were doing just a moment ago of the air coming further down, there is more exchange of oxygen with the blood, so it can nourish all our cells of the body. There is a lowering of tension, and with that comes all the other extra benefits of better sleep, lower blood pressure, better digestion. So there are many benefits for breathing through the nose. But how can we train ourselves to breathe through the nose if we are accustomed to breathe with the open mouth? So if that's the case, if you notice that most of the day you are breathing with an open mouth, it could also be, because you have some deviation in the septum, this partition between the two nostrils, and that's making your inhalation a little bit more complicated. So except in some particular cases where you can actually not breathe through the nose so much, in all other cases, it's better to breathe through the nose. And as I was saying, when we breathe through the nose and the body is relaxed, the air goes further down, and that's very relaxing, also very healthy. Without further ado, let's show you these two yogic breath. So the first one is Pratyloma, and we are going to put our hands like this with the index and middle finger down, and then we are going to barely close our nostrils, pinching them a little bit, and we are going to inhale through those barely closed nostrils, and then have a pause, and then exhale. But we are going to begin, like always we do when we do any breathing practice, with an exhalation by bringing our abdomen in. So we bring the abdomen in and exhale through the nose. Still keep your mouth closed. Now we are going to inhale through the nose. There is a pause, and then we release and exhale. So find what's the rhythm that works for you. Let's keep a hand at the level of the ribs to have the intention of the air to come down and push, making a pause. The pauses are an important part of all this practice. You have to do this at your own pace. If you try to do too much, then you will have to gasp for air, and that's not a good thing. So I'm just kind of showing that after the inhaling, there is a pause, but maybe you will get to the pause a little bit earlier, and that's perfectly fine. I mean, you are the master of your body. You are the one that needs to know how to do it. Let's do it. We're going to do only 3 times, but really present and really finding your own rhythm, okay? And in the last one, we are going to hold for a little bit longer within what's comfortable for you, and then exhale. And you can feel how there is like more capacity there, a little bit more capacity. And of course, this is just the beginning. You would have to remember this and practice it several times a day to keep exercising your lung muscles, your pulmonary muscles, because we exercise our arms and our legs and our spine and our core muscles and whatever, but we don't do any kind of practice that helps a little bit the pulmonary muscles, and they eventually from 50 up lose elasticity and lose capacity to come in and come out in that exchange. And so eventually it's a little bit less absorption of the oxygen, and then the whole system starts to slow down more. Of course, you can also regain some of it by being in nature, walking, biking, but many of the things we used to do, like having access to the gym, is not possible now. This is a good practice also to do at home, to be able to keep stimulating your capacity of holding a little bit longer within what's comfortable for you. That's the golden rule. Never force anything, please. Okay, so let's do 3 more of this at your own pace. Enjoy it. Let's play like if we were children, seeing how could it be enjoyable to close our nostrils and still take some air and still feel a little bit the resistance here in the lungs, in the lower part of the lungs, but that feels comfortable. And then letting go. And then again, doing it, finding your own rhythm. Okay, 3 more times. Let's do it. So we start always with an exhale, exhaling through the nose, bringing the abdomen in so that there is this vacuum that's created. And then we are going to inhale. And one last time. And let's just have a little bit of our natural breathing. It might be also that you feel a little bit warmer now. That's okay. It's just that whenever there is retention of breath, there is a possibility of a little bit more heat coming up, and that will eventually cool off. So don't worry. So this is one you may have resonated with it or not. It's there among many of the tools that you are finding in your own search on how to know yourself better, know your body better, stimulate it in different positive ways. The other practice that also comes from yoga, and it's called Kapalabhati, and in the traditional form is done faster, but we are going to do it slower, and that's the one that we are going to be using our mask. So if you have your mask ready, that would be great. If not, go and get your mask. Please have it ready so that we can do some experiments. Okay, can I see your masks? Okay, great, thank you. And also it was good so that we take a little break and let ourselves cool down a little bit after the previous practice. So you may have noticed when you use your mask that as you try to breathe, the mask, can you hear me? As you try to breathe, the mask comes in against your nostrils and you feel that you don't have enough air. And when you feel you don't have enough air, the natural thing is that you will go trying to get the air that you don't have. But the more you go trying to get that air that's lacking, the more that you kind of not really get a satisfactory amount of air in. It's almost philosophical too. The more we feel that we are lacking something and we grasp for it, it's just like already there is this tension that doesn't ever have this fulfillment. So what to do? Well, although it seems counterintuitive, what you have to do when you don't have enough air is to exhale. And I know it sounds strange, but if you, when you don't have enough air, or feel that you don't have enough air, you exhale, then there is this vacuum that happens, and then the air can come in, and it can come in slower and lower than if you don't have air. Let's say you have been using your mask. If you don't have enough air and go, all the breathing is happening up here, which makes you more anxious. And also it doesn't really fulfill the desire of the lungs, the need of the lungs of being filled with air in the part where they are broader, which is lower down in your lungs. So when you don't have air, what you are going to do, unless you have a very serious condition, I'm not asking here you to do any of these things if you are not in a normal condition. I don't know what kind of other pulmonary, really drastic situation you may have, but this is for people that are more or less normal with their functioning. When you don't have air, you exhale to create a space for more air to come in. It's very Buddhist, really. We are going to learn this practice and then we are going to use it with the mask. But first we're going to do it without the mask. Or you can keep your mask on as you prefer. But the practice, which is Kapalabhati and means skull shining, it's based on a forced exhalation that happens through the nose as you keep your mouth closed. I mean, the secret of all this is that you're going to keep your mouth closed all the time, which doesn't happen when you use a mask. When you feel you're running out of air, you tend to open your mouth right? Because the nose is already feeling, I can't get enough air with this mask. So you resort to your mouth that's bigger and bigger opening, and you are trying to breathe through the mouth, which means you, if there are pathogens around and they were not filtered through your mask, you are getting it in directly into your body without any filtering from the nose. So we need to learn to close our mouth and breathe through the nose, and this practice of Kapalabhati will help with that. And it will also reduce our anxiety. And of course, our anxiety sometimes gets raised when we are wearing a mask. We are already feeling a little bit anxious for this kind of mouth breathing, and then along comes a runner or somebody coughing without a mask, and we go, oh no, and then the mind starts with these ideas, and it gets even more tense and more lacking air. So what you do at that time, close your mouth and exhale. Then as you exhale, there is this more space, you can do it. So let me show you how is that exhale in the Kapalabhati. You always start exhaling by having a long exhalation, bringing your abdomen in. You inhale to 70% capacity, and then you start with a forceful exhalation through the nose and just wait, and the air comes in. You do and relax your abdomen, so there is a lot of space for the air to come in, and it starts coming in through your nose. You are not going to do no. And then just wait and relax your abdomen, and you see that there is all this air that's coming, permeating your lungs and going further down in your respiratory system. Once it is filled, then you again so do it with me. Find also how it can flow for you. So don't force too much, like, right? No, we are just doing 50%, whatever it is that you can do comfortably and enjoying it. So you just do, keeping your mouth closed, the air starts coming in. And let's keep one hand here, or two, because now you're not closing your nostrils. See if when the inhale happens, it will come down. Okay, so let's go. Maybe there are too many things to remember, so let's just how is it feeling for you? I know it's strange, it's different from before. You may feel some activation in the area of your upper sinus, your frontal sinus. You may feel very relaxed and like yawning. That's great. So in the traditional Kapalabhati, it's more like you exhale, bringing your abdomen in, then you inhale at 70% capacity, and then it goes. So it's much more rapid force exhalation, and that's mainly to stimulate the area of your brain and your sinus and all that. But in this one, we are just doing force exhalation and letting the air come in, so that there is a longer time for this exchange with the oxygenation of the blood, and for the air to come in. And also because you are going to be walking. So now let's try it with the mask. And you will see that if you exhale and then relax your abdomen and allow the air to come in, and that will be while you are walking. Exhale, bringing your abdomen in. Inhale to 70% capacity. Exhale. Two more. And then just breathe normally. And to take this practice to the next level, and also to give you a little bit of a break from sitting so long, let's do the practice walking. So you're going to put again, massage a little bit your legs if you were sitting in cross-legged position, or tap a little bit just to wake up. We are going to get up. We are going to put the mask. Imagine that we are walking around in a neighborhood or whatever, without chatting with a friend or anything like that. We are just walking around. And then see as you walk, see if you can do this and find the comfortable rhythm to exhale, and then allow all that air just naturally to come in. When it is fulfilled, then again another. At no point the mouth is open. It's always totally closed. Okay? And then afterwards, we are going to talk about some of the questions you may have about this after we finish with the session today. Okay, so let's put the mask and go for a little walk around our sitting room. There are studies that show that breathing through the nose, even in situations of exertion, if one can train oneself, instead of breathing through the mouth, breathing through the nose. There is a Dr. Patrick McEwen. He works with people that work in the Olympics and all that. And he has helped them to have greater efficiency by breathing through the nose, even when there is more exertion and the tendency was to open the mouth. So if you are going up a hill or up some stairs in your neighborhood or whatever, and you notice again that the more exertion there is, the more you will tend to open your mouth, just stop for a moment, have some catch breath, and then continue having this training of having your mouth closed and breathing through your nose. it will do wonders for your health. Some people, for example, sleep with their mouth open, and then they have a dry mouth because, of course, they are losing the humidifying function that the hairs and then sinus have for the air that comes in. And so they get a very dry mouth and they wake up because they have been breathing that way, or they snore, or they have sleep apnea. So there is another book that talks about taping the mouth at night, which I wouldn't recommend for children. And I haven't ever tried it, but I was talking with a friend that has been doing it since May 20. And she says that's amazing that she now is able to sleep for longer, train herself to sleep with the mouth closed, and that she feels better, she feels more relaxed. I wouldn't do that with children at all, but if you know that you are someone who sleeps with the mouth open, and if you want to try to train yourself on that, Google it, find out this thing about taping the mouth. Of course, it's a special kind of tape that you can then remove easily. But that's another possibility of training to breathe mainly with the nose and not with the mouth. All these requires first that you consider that it's better for you, and then a desire to include it in your life, and then practice. You have to be patient with yourself with any kind of practice that you want to succeed in the long run, and also keep watching, how it is for you. Is this something that really resonates with you and makes you feel better or not? Let's go now to the meditation part of our encounter today. And we are going to practice the inner smile, continuation of what we did last Saturday when we were smiling to our different organs, seeing the connection between the organs and the emotions, and also the color of the light that, according to Taoist medicine, it's more beneficial for each one of the organs. In this case, we are going today to concentrate mainly on the organs that are part of the respiratory system. And so we'll just kind of sit with the spine straight and the body relaxed, or you can also lay down if that's more comfortable for you today. We close our eyes or lower our gaze so that we don't get distracted with the surroundings, and bring gently the attention inward, taking a few breaths, going deep into our inner space, but in a relaxed way, just noticing the breath wherever it's happening. We could also bring one hand to the area of the heart, to the sea of tranquility point, which we have learned is in our sternum bone, chest bone. There is an indentation that's the deepest indentation we can find in that bone. It's a little bit near where the heart is. Then we can put our middle finger there, or just cover the area with one of our hands, and we can have the other hand at the area of the abdomen, just kind of letting these two major centers of energy, the one near the heart, the one in the abdomen, resonate. And we are going to bring now our attention to our respiratory system. And first visualize the nose and the passageways of the nose. Sense how the air comes in the nose and touches the inner side of the nostrils and goes up in the nose towards the area of the frontal sinuses. And then it goes in the back of the throat, the larynx, It goes down along the throat, and then it comes in contact with the trachea, which is the tube here, and that opens up into the bronchi and bronchioles, which are the smaller ones, like a tree of capillaries that are inside the lungs and end in some little spongy sacs, which are the alveoli, where the exchange happens of oxygen and carbon dioxide. And also the lungs, which are these two big sacs, which have a broader base in the lower part. So we are going to be bringing our attention to our respiratory organs. First, we smile to our nose and have a sense felt of the nose and the passages through the nose. A smile meaning feeling well from inside out, and kind of also a sense of gratitude and easiness towards this organ and towards the function of breathing that has kept us alive, that has been happening since the very first moment when we were born. So just kind of smiling to this part where it starts, the breathing, and to the sinus and the frontal sinus, to the side of the nose and the top part. Just a sense of relaxation and good being, decongesting the whole area, and imagining a white light that is bathing the whole respiratory system, starting with the nose. Now it also follows through the back of the throat and illuminates the whole throat, cleansing any possible toxins that are there. So with every inhalation, we imagine this healing white light entering through the nostrils and up to the sinuses, and then the back of the throat, and then coming down to the trachea, this white cleaning light. And with the exhale, we let go of some dark vapors, whatever is there that needs to be released, that needs to be let go. We keep inhaling this beautiful healing light, softening, decongesting, clearing up. And as we exhale, we progressively let go of whatever needs to be let go, be it accumulation of toxins that could be there, or even of things that kind of have stuck there. Like, for example, we know that the emotion of grief or sadness is something that really affects the lungs in Chinese traditional medicine. So we let go of sadness, grief that may have been stuck there for a long time at different levels. So inhaling white light, exhaling dark vapors, and also letting go of any toxins or burden or grief that still may be there in whatever capacity you can today. Smiling to the nose, feeling that well-being, that clearing coming with the light through the nostrils to the back of the throat, to the trachea, the tube here, and to all the capillaries, all the places where the exchange is happening, and to the lungs, visualizing the lungs bathed with this white healing light that clears everything there, decongests and heals. Smile into the lungs and the lungs smile back. Finally, remember I exist. I've been with you for so many years. Sense of spaciousness, love. And that's also transmitted to the heart, to the stomach, to the liver, to the kidneys, all of which are in that space in between the lungs and touching the lungs too. Gently coming back. If you want, opening the eyes and remembering that sense of calmness, of clearing and healing that you just experienced, and knowing that you can come back to it whenever you like. And that in this case, we were mainly thinking of the lungs and the respiratory system, but you can direct it to whichever part needs some help. Maybe you have chronic pain somewhere, or maybe you're recovering from operation on any particular organ. So just bring your attention to that part of your body that's needing some extra help, and bring your attention and intention, and maybe even your healing touch, covering the area that needs help, and just breathe in gently and smile to that part. Maybe feel the expansion of the area as you inhale, and then when you exhale, just having the intention of letting go of the pain, of letting go of whatever may be congested there. In Chinese medicine and also in Indian healing traditions, the pain comes from congested energy, and that congested energy can come from emotions, negative emotions that one may have had. There may have been other issues further back in your life, and as we said, the issues are in the tissues. Or it may be some trauma. For example, an operation is a pretty invasive procedure. Sometimes it's necessary. And so you're just kind of accompanying that part and integrating with your attention and intention and your caring, softening around it and creating space and having this sense of receiving a healing light that helps to let go of that congestion. And finally, today we're going to do a little practice about the lungs. This practice comes from Qigong. Let's do it. Qigong is a form similar to yoga in the sense that it sees body, mind, and spirit as a continuum. And we are going to be doing a few gentle moves to bring attention and intention and breathing to the area of the lungs and heart. And we have been doing some of this with with some of you before, but let's do it also today. The movement, it's the hands are going to come up to the side of the body at the level of the shoulders, and then they are going to come towards the lungs, bringing this chi, gathering this chi, receiving this prana, chi, vital energy, and bringing it to the lungs and heart. And our head is going to be gently bowed, forward. And we are going to breathe that energy that we have just received into the lungs and heart. And then eventually the hands come up like this, and then like an offering, they go forth and they open up to the side. And again, the movement is repeated, gathering the energy towards the lungs and heart with the head bow, and eventually raising the hands and offering. I'm explaining this now so that you can see it while I'm near you, because in a moment I'm going to be further back and I don't know if you can see the hands so well. The name of this practice is The Lotus Rises Above the Water. I think is particularly meaningful, I mean, always, but particularly meaningful now with all these challenges we are having, which sometimes seem to be almost overwhelming and then fill us with sadness and worry, and could create also depression, which are all emotions that affect very much the lung and the heart and all the organs really. But to understand that all these challenges could be like the process of the lotus that starts in the mud and goes through all these different challenges and eventually raises above the water. And at that time, its beauty is revealed. And it's not only just for the lotus, it's to be shared with everyone because we are all connected. And so it's a process on the one hand of taking care of ourselves and replenishing ourselves, but always remembering that so that we can be available to ourselves and to others. And that's what we are going to be practicing right now. The lotus rises above the water. This practice is also in my YouTube channel, The New Paradigms, if you want to practice, because it might take a few days for me to finally edit the practice that we are going to be doing right now. If you want to practice during the week, this is one of the ones that's already in the new paradigms. And when you practice, if you like it, share it with other people, and we will multiply this benefit with others. And also give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. It will really help my work, so I would really appreciate that. Well, let's do the lotus raises above the water. We stand with the feet shoulder width apart, body straight and relaxed. The head, we can visualize the head like if it is a sphere, perfectly balanced on top of the sphere of the chest, and both of them balanced on top of the sphere of the abdomen. And like if there is an internal column of energy, an uninterrupted column of energy that rises from the pelvic floor to the top of the head. So that helps us to feel balanced and relaxed at the same time. Shoulders are relaxed, arms, face, legs are relaxed. We start by feeling the connection with the earth. Maybe we can bring first the attention to the soles of our feet. We could raise our feet, our toes up a little bit if you like, just to feel the connection with the feet and the floor, and then lower the toes so that you can feel, are more aware of that connection of the soles of your feet with the floor. And then standing with the body straight and relaxed, we are going to let our arms float to the side in slow movement. As you do slow movements, your nerves and muscles can feel the connection between themselves. And we are going to open our palms to receive this chi and prana, this vital energy that's all around us, always. And bringing them gently towards our heart and lungs. We bow our head in gratitude for receiving this blessing or being able to breathe. And breathe that energy in our lungs and our heart, this wide healing energy. And we smile to our lungs, and our lungs smile back to us. And after a few breaths of replenishing ourselves, then the hands come up and the head comes up in inhalation. And at the same time, then the hands go forth and offer whatever we understand, whatever peace we experience to also be shared with others. Again, inhaling, bringing this chi, prana, vital energy to our lungs and heart. The head is bowed in recognition of this gift and gratitude. Breathing gently into our heart and lungs. And smiling to the lungs and the heart, why not? And they are smiling back to us. And then bringing the hands up a little bit. The lotus raises above the water and shares its beauty. And again, let's do 3 more at your own pace. Smiling to the lungs and heart, and they smile back to you. Very softening, relaxing. Then we inhale as we raise the head up a little bit. The hands come like in an offering. It's an opening of the chest and of the heart, a sense of spaciousness and togetherness with all the other people right now that are also practicing this together in our community. Just concentrating on your own sense of smiling to your lungs and heart. If not now, when? And your lungs and heart smile back to you. And after receiving the gift, we share it. One last time, and be silent. Eventually, when you get to have your hands open to the side of your chest, the palms are going to look down and then they are going to flow down. But just take your own time, move at your own pace, always slow. And then eventually we bring the feet together, hands together. Like in prayer, we bring it to our forehead and remember 1 or 2 of the blessings right now in our life. Not only think about them, but actually feel them inside you. And how grateful you are, how amazing it is to have these blessings. Also, the teachings of many teachers who have passed it through generations, and we are now, right now, enjoying it. Then we lower our hands and center ourselves, center of our chest, of our sea of tranquility point. And we remember someone who at this time may be needing some extra peace or hope, spiritual hope, or some healing, and we send this to them, visualizing them, and wherever they are right now, imagine that they are receiving this and that their burden is lifted, that they feel a little bit better suddenly with this whiff of peace. In Buddhism, this is called dedication of the merit. As one experiences peace, one knows that the journey doesn't end with oneself and just opens the heart and shares it with somebody else, knowing that whatever work we do on ourselves is because we are part of a much greater network of people all over the world that are trying to find their true nature, are trying to find some relief to their pain. So we send a prayer for this to be happening. And may there be peace on the heavens, may there be peace on the earth, may there be peace in the waters, may there be peace in the plants and the animals, may there be peace in all sentient beings, in all living beings. And may that peace, real peace, begin with us, sharing it and working on cultivating it in our daily life. Now we greet each other by bringing our hands in front of our forehead, which is a traditional way of saying, I recognize and resonate with the self in you, the higher self, your divine nature. I bow to you and to that consciousness. So now we can talk a little bit. If there are any questions about any of the practices or any comments or any requests, any questions. I know some of the practices are different, maybe sometimes counterintuitive to what you have been practicing before. Yeah.
Hi, it's Marilyn.
Hi.
Hi, I'm still having difficulty with how to position my fingers on my nose properly.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is a Vishnu mudra that allows you to use your thumb and your ring finger. And again, you can have these two fingers down, which is a traditional mudra, or you can have them up, but you are mainly going to be using your ring finger and your thumb. And what you do is you bring the two to the side of your nose.
I see.
So that you are kind of pinching the nose, a little bit like those artifacts that we used to use when we were swimming.
Uh-huh.
Those ones would really pinch the nose more. These ones, you are kind of closing it so that there is a little bit of resistance when you inhale, but not completely, because of course, if you close it completely, you cannot inhale. Or if you close it a lot, then there is a lot of resistance. You just want to start practicing to have a little bit more resistance in that process of exchange of breathing, but not a lot. Just be gradual with it.
Okay.
How was it for you or any of you to do this? I know it's a little bit strange.
But I like doing it. I just feel my fingers don't do it right exactly. So I'm kind of, messing around with that. And but anyway, this clarifying. I'm going to try to, because my fingers don't really stay up the way they should. So I'll get used to it.
Let's see. Can I see your fingers? Can they do this or not? I mean,
this doesn't want to. These stay down, and then this goes up. Okay. But I can do this. Yeah, I'll get it.
I think the tradition would be, with this, the thumb and the ring finger. But if that doesn't work, any other thing, or
right,
top, or the main thing is you are going to be kind of closing your nose a little bit, trying to breathe. Hold it for a moment, and then release that and exhale. And all the time, your mouth is closed, because the tendency is when you cannot breathe,
Mm-hmm.
then you tend to open your mouth.
Mm-hmm. Right. Right.
And we're trying to re-educate ourselves to keep
Right.
the mouth closed and start having some more capacity of breathing, even when there is a constriction. And the other breathing, the Kapalabhati, is even more, I think, effective while you are walking and all that, to just exhale and allow, create the vacuum and allow the air to come in, even as you are walking and all that. I mean, I have tested in my neighborhood. I have tested also going upstairs, in some passages that we have here in the Elmwood and, other places,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
different. Yeah, the more you go upstairs or whatever, the more you tend to try to open the mouth. And in that case, you stop for a moment, take a few deep breaths, and then continue with mainly and allowing the air to come in.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. Any other comments or requests?
Yes, I have a comment. I think that those of us whose ancestors come from England or Northern Europe, we tend to have narrow faces and very often sinuses that get congested easily. My wife has this problem a lot in particular, but I also had a problem growing up where I was very much a mouth breather because of congestion. And I still I actually sleep with a machine at night now that helps me breathe. And I've had to learn how to keep my mouth closed because it forces air through my nostrils because of sleep apnea. And I'm wondering, if I don't have that machine, my mouth still opens up, but I'm interested about the idea of using tape.
Right.
To try and learn to sleep with my mouth closed. And maybe I don't need the machine if I can learn to just keep my mouth closed.
Be a good thing when you're traveling and all that. But let me show you also a few points that are really good for opening the sinuses and can, help to complement this process that you're going through. So there are two very powerful points just by the side of the nostrils, these little indentations we have here. So if we go with the index fingers, for example, and we do little circles there, and then go along the bone of the cheek out, you feel that you can breathe better. So again, kind of stimulating them a little bit with circles, whichever way I tend to do them, circles out, and then pushing out a little bit. And here there is another point to decongest sinus. And then there are 2 points here where the eyebrows finish. And we have the frontal sinus here. So we have sinus this side, we have sinus along here, we have sinus along. There are 4 sets of sinus, and there are some here. So if you stimulate these 2 points right where the eyebrows finish, they are good points to also decongest the sinus. And you could just have it as a little practice before you go to sleep at night, or any time that you remember, you be stimulating the decongesting of those areas, because with your hands you have some. And then there are also 2 other points in the back of the neck that are good for opening the sinus, and they are the gates of consciousness, Gallbladder 20, which from the back they connect with the sinus, those 2, and also the pillars of heaven, the other 2 from there. But so those are very good for letting go of tensions, frustration. It has very many positive effects for calming down, letting go of irritation, frustration. But also they have the physical benefit that from the back they connect with the sinus. So if you remember these 2 points and opening to the side, the 2 points here, and the ones, Gallbladder 20, gates of consciousness in the edge of the skull, That would be very good for you. And if you want to add some more, you could add the pillars of heaven, which are kind of half the way between the line of the skull and the line of the shoulders and in the root muscles of the neck. So you squeeze like this and rotate your head a little bit to the right and the left. And that should provide also some extra capacity. And you could also massage from the welcome fragrant points, which is this one, add to this ones for the sinus, because the sinuses are located here, 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 and here. So, just also massaging up and down could feel good. So any of this or all of these can help. And it would take just a few minutes, I highly recommend the 5 points, which I have taught in other classes, and they are also in the New Paradigms channel. It's under letting go of fear, anxiety, and depression. And so those 5 points there in the back is a wonderful practice before you go to sleep and when you just wake up. It has many benefits. And one added benefit for you would be working with decongesting your sinuses, because the respiratory system responds a lot to, or is affected a lot, on the one hand by grief, but also by tension. So if you can, consciously cultivate this work of de-stressing before you go to sleep and when you just wake up, it will also increase the quality of your breathing and of the problems with your sinus. Partly is mechanical, but quite a lot is energetically. You probably already know that.
Thank you.
When we partially close the nostrils for the breathing exercise, what's the point of having them partially closed? Is it stimulating your lungs or?
Yeah, so as we age, we lose recoil capacity from the pulmonary muscles. We lose strength of the pulmonary muscles, so the lower part of the lungs don't get to have so much air exchange, because the whole kind of system is starting to sag a little bit. And so it's important to exercise the lungs, the pulmonary muscles. And so one way of exercising is having them work against a little bit of resistance.
I see.
This is creating resistance.
Okay.
But not so much that, gives you a headache or something like that. You have to find, what is a way that you can first relax, start exhaling, bringing your abdomen in, which we do at the beginning of all the breathings, and then inhale while you are offering that resistance. And you usually feel it here. Just use one hand here and have the other hand there, and imagine that as the air comes down, it's pushing against your hand and against your thumb, which is in the lower back part, so that there is this resistance and a little bit of expansion. And when you finish the inhale, hold it in any case, if you can, and then release, and release slowly, and always through the nose. So what you are also training is when you have the mask and you don't have air, your instinct is to go from breathing through the nose to opening your mouth and breathing through the mouth. And you are trying to stop that. And even when there is resistance, to still keep your mouth closed and keep inhaling and exhaling. So it has two reasons. One is to increase the resistance here, stimulate the lungs so that they can have a little bit more muscle strength, which we lose as we age. And the other thing is to change that instinctual way of just going to open the mouth. You are trying to keep your mouth closed.